If carbohydrates aren't an essential nutrient, why do we eat so many of them every single day? Because once you understand the real answer to that question, a lot of what we've been told about healthy eating starts to fall apart. And that's exactly why this conversation matters, especially for men over 40. Most people have never been taught what the word essential actually means when it comes to nutrition. They assume essential means important or recommended or good for you. But in human biology, essential has a very specific definition. There are nutrients your body cannot survive without, and there are nutrients your body can live without entirely. Protein is essential. Fat is essential. Carbohydrates are not. That single sentence creates a lot of resistance because carbohydrates have been positioned as the foundation of a healthy diet for most of our lives. Bread, pasta, rice, cereal, sugar, we're told they give us energy. We're told they're necessary. We're told cutting them is extreme or dangerous. So if carbohydrates truly aren't essential, why are they everywhere? The answer isn't found in physiology textbooks. It's found in history, economics, and food manufacturing. In nutrition science, an essential nutrient is one your body cannot manufacture on its own. If you don't consume it, you will eventually become deficient, and that deficiency will cause real damage. Protein supplies essential amino acids. Fat supplies essential fatty acids. Without them, cells fail to repair. Hormones stop functioning properly. Immune system weakens. Organs begin to suffer. Carbohydrates do not meet this definition. There is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. Your body can produce all the glucose it needs through a process called glucogenesis, using protein and fat as raw materials. That process happens automatically, every day, whether you eat carbs or not. So when someone says you need carbs for energy, what they really mean is carbohydrates are a fast, convenient source of energy, not a required one. That distinction matters, especially later in life. For most of human history, carbohydrates were not eaten the way they are today. They were seasonal, inconsistent, unrefined, difficult to obtain in large quantities. Carbs came from wild fruits, roots, tubers, or the occasional discovery of honey. There were no grain silos, no bakeries, no sugar refineries. Protein and fat formed the foundation of the human diet because they were calorie dense, highly satiating, available year-round. Carbohydrates were supplemental, not dominant. The idea that humans evolved eating bread, cereal, pasta, and sugar as a dietary staple is a modern invention, not an ancestral reality. That shift happened recently, and it happened fast. There's another piece here that rarely gets talked about. Even when early humans did eat carbohydrates, they were nothing like what we eat today. Wild fruit was smaller, more fibrous, and far less sweet. Roots and tubers required effort to dig, prepare, and digest. Honey was rare, a dangerous luxury, not a daily habit. There was no such thing as constant carbohydrate exposure. You didn't wake up to carbs, snack on carbs, eat carbs at lunch, and finish the day with carbs. Modern humans do. And that constant exposure matters because the human body never evolved to manage elevated blood sugar all day, every day, for decades. Carbohydrates didn't take over because they were optimal for health. They took over because they were perfect for industrial food production. Grains and sugar are cheap to grow, easy to store, easy to transport, extremely profitable at scale. Fat spoils. Protein costs more. Carbohydrates last forever. Once industrial agriculture and food processing expanded, carbohydrates became the backbone of the global food system. And then came the marketing. Low fat, heart healthy, energy foods, whole grains. These messages weren't driven by biology, they were driven by logistics, shelf life, and profit margins. Carbohydrates didn't win because your body needed them. They won because factories did. Carbohydrates do one thing exceptionally well. They raise blood sugar. When blood sugar rises, insulin rises. And insulin's primary job is energy storage, particularly fat storage. Insulin is not the enemy, it's a necessary hormone. But when insulin remains elevated most of the day, fat burning becomes inaccessible. This is where many people get stuck. If carbohydrates dominate your diet, fat burning is suppressed. Hunger returns quickly. Energy comes in spikes and crashes. That's why people feel hungry 2 hours after eating cereal or toast. It's not a lack of discipline, it's predictable physiology. And the more often insulin stays elevated, the harder fat loss becomes, regardless of calories. Men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s feel the consequences of this more than anyone because several things change with age. Insulin sensitivity declines. Muscle mass naturally decreases. Testosterone levels drop. Recovery slows. The same carb-heavy diet that felt manageable at 30 now leads to persistent belly fat, afternoon energy crashes, brain fog, slower physical recovery. This isn't simply getting older. It's decades of carb-dominant eating colliding with a metabolism that no longer has the same margin for error. What used to be tolerated becomes damaging. But none of this means carbohydrates are poison. It means they're context-dependent. Carbs can be useful around intense physical activity and controlled intentional amounts for metabolically healthy individuals. But they were never meant to be the foundation of every meal. Protein provides structure. Fat provides fuel. Carbohydrates, when used, should serve a specific purpose. When carbs shift from being a tool to being the base of the diet, metabolic problems begin. This is why so many men feel like something suddenly changed in their 40s. It didn't change suddenly. The damage accumulated quietly for years. Decades of frequent insulin spikes slowly reduce insulin sensitivity. Decades of muscle loss reduce glucose disposal. Decades of carb dependence train the body to rely on sugar first. So when metabolism finally slows, even slightly, the system collapses under its own weight. The same breakfast that once felt harmless now leads to fatigue. The same lunch now creates an afternoon crash. The same dinner now shows up as belly fat. Nothing magical happened. The bill simply came due. And most men are never told this, so they blame age, genetics, or motivation instead of understanding the metabolic math. So let's answer the original question clearly. If carbohydrates aren't essential, why do we eat so many of them? Because they are cheap, shelf-stable, profitable, and aggressively marketed, not because your body requires them. Once you understand that, nutrition stops being confusing. You stop fighting hunger, you stop blaming willpower, and you start feeding the body in a way that actually works, especially as you get older. In the next video, we'll tackle something almost everyone has experienced. Why people lose weight for 30 days, then gain it all back. Because that cycle isn't accidental. It's built into the system. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.